They say the 13-year-old Erin Nichols is missing. She is described as being 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighing around 135 pounds. She was last seen wearing gray sneakers, gray sweatpants, and a navy blue hooded sweatshirt, and she was in the Bradford section of Haverhill. There is information she may possibly be in Amesbury. If located, please contact the Haverhill Police Department or your local police department. On Friday, January 25th, Haverhill's Charles Burrell was walking from his home on Groveland Street to the downtown bus station when he was struck and killed in White's Corner in an early morning hit-and-run accident. 1 month later, Essex County District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett has yet to bring charges against the driver, said to have allegedly driven away only to return to the scene several hours later. Well, WHAV asked for and received a partially redacted Haverhill police report within 10 days of the accident. The fatal hit-and-run remains under investigation by Massachusetts State Police troopers assigned to the DA's office. A Blodgett spokeswoman, Carrie Kimball, says no charges have been filed in the fatal hit-and-run. In the police report obtained by WHAV, the driver's name and other identifying details were blacked out, but several crash details and observations from Sergeant Kevin Lynch were made public. In one major revelation, Lynch testified that 3 streetlights at the Main and Water Street intersection where Burrell was hit at 5:14 in the morning were either out or dim. The 59-year-old was walking to the Washington Street bus depot to catch a ride to work at Newburyport's Anna Jakes Hospital, where he was a longtime custodian. He was pronounced dead at the scene after being hit while in the crosswalk, according to police. Several hours after the January 25th accident, Haverhill police took custody of a silver PT Cruiser said to be involved in the accident and executing a search warrant at the Bradford home of the driver. A public records request made by WHAV on Monday, January 28th, for details of the search and seizure was denied. At the time, Haverhill police said the refusal was due to the ongoing nature of the investigation. This is the second Haverhill motor vehicle-related case to see a delay in charges filed. Last September, Haverhill High School senior Jordan Rankin was struck and killed at the intersection of Crystal and Liberty Streets when, according to police and court documents, Methuen's Owen Foote allegedly sped past a stop sign going 70 miles an hour in a residential zone. He was arrested 6 weeks after the accident, and his case continues in Haverhill District Court. And drivers planning to travel 495 northbound in Haverhill tomorrow are advised that the left lane between exits 48 and 49 will be closed to traffic as Mass DOT continues the highway bridge reconstruction. Work takes place between 6 a.m. and 1 p.m., weather permitting, with signage used to guide motorists. Taking a look at sports, in tournament basketball action, boys Division I or sectional in the first round, Haverhill is going to be at Lawrence on Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, Chelsea is at Central Catholic. In Division II, tonight, Burlington is at North Andover, and Division III tonight has Bedford at Pentucket. And girls basketball in the Division I North Sectional quarterfinals tonight, Haverhill hosts Waltham, and Arlington is going to be at Central Catholic. In Division II quarterfinals on Thursday night, Pentucket is going to be playing an opponent yet to be determined. And in hockey, tomorrow night in Division II boys hockey, Pentucket takes on Marblehead in a first-round game at Stoneham. Division I seedings have yet to be finalized. And girls Division I hockey, Methuen is in the quarterfinals. Their opponent has yet to be determined. In Division II girls hockey, tomorrow night Central Catholic takes on Matignon at Charlestown in a preliminary round game. Elsewhere, the Red Sox play the Pirates today in exhibition baseball. Bruins are back in action tomorrow night hosting the Sharks, and the Celtics are on the road tomorrow night to play the Toronto Raptors. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and there's always more at WHAV.net, where you can sign up for the free newsletter. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Wyn Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Giles Gibson. The opposition Labour Party in the UK says it would back a second EU referendum if their own Brexit deal is rejected by Parliament in a vote set for Wednesday. US President Donald Trump is on his way to Vietnam for his second summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And a senior member of the Taliban has held talks with a top US envoy about a potential peace plan in Afghanistan.
Wave weather! Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Still very windy tonight, but that high wind warning coming to an end at 7. We will see gradually clearing skies with temperatures dropping to 15. That'll put wind chills below zero as a west wind around 18 to 25 miles per hour will still be likely. For the day tomorrow, sunny skies, highs near 23. Wind chill values to zero, especially in the morning, with a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind, gusts occasionally to 35 miles per hour. Mostly clear Tuesday night, a low around 5, and a few snow showers later on Wednesday, high 24. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
For more in-depth coverage of the news, visit WHAV's website at whav.net. 97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening. Welcome to WHAV 97.9 FM. I'm Ralph Basiliere, sitting in for Bill Masick, who's on special assignment. My guest co-host tonight is none other than City Councilor Melinda Barrett. And our guest for the first hour is Council Vice President Tom Sullivan. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Great to have you. So, a lot going on in the city, Tom. What's going on?
Well, let's start with the weather. The winds are whipping out there tonight.
The winds are whipping. It was snowing when I came in. Melinda,
Oh,
was
no,
it
it wasn't snowing when I came in.
Yeah, I got caught in a squall on the way here. But
Yeah, there are squalls in the area.
And trees down,
trees
limbs
are down, yeah.
I don't know that anyone's lost power. I haven't heard that
I
they've
haven't
lost
heard
any
that.
power
There
here.
was some statewide,
Over 62,000.
yeah.
Over 62,000. Revere has lost power. There's a few communities around Boston that have lost power.
I'm going to say right out of the gate, I'm very impressed that you knew the number of how many power outages there were.
Yeah, I spent the last hour watching the news.
That a boy, that a boy. Just before
That
the
will do
show,
it.
just
Yeah.
before the show. So recently, you had an event, Tom,
I
where
did.
you announced.
I did. I had.
Tell us about it. It was very well attended. I was no surprise. I was there.
Yeah, and thank you, Councilor Barrett came as well. A few other councilors and mayor and others. It was a good event. I announced my candidacy for re-election for Haverhill City Council, and that is my intention right now, that I will run for re-election in the fall, along with Mel. Mel, you're running, right?
I'm running,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, there we have it tonight.
We've got two candidates
Two
right here.
candidates
Two
right here.
candidates.
Yeah. And tomorrow night on the agenda, what do you have coming up? I read it earlier, but just very briefly.
There's a solar farm approval up on Broadway.
Yeah.
Right. I think I had seen that at the Concom. That's
Yeah,
the one we
that
had seen,
had
right?
been up on Concon.
Yeah.
That's a non-controversial one, isn't it? I haven't heard too
Fairly. I spoke to the inspectional services. There's
Yeah.
some issues
There are.
that
Yeah.
just
Minor
minor.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
Not so much the solar field, but the property surrounding it.
Right. There had been some concern from neighbors who, I mean, they were honest. They simply don't want to look out and see solar panels, and I guess I can understand that. Of course, on the Concom, that doesn't come under, vistas do not come under my jurisdiction. There's
Right.
absolutely nothing I can do about that consideration, unfortunately.
Right.
What else is going on?
We'll speak to the situation as far as crime, violent crime.
Oh, that's right.
Is on the agenda.
The president put something
Yeah.
on the agenda?
Which is something we as a council have taken on for the last 3 or 4 years.
Nothing that's going to be solved overnight,
No, not
obviously.
tonight.
Right.
The chief's going to come in tomorrow night.
That's right. I heard
and-
he was
and
speaking tomorrow.
Speak to the recent incidents on top of the past year's incidents. So
Yeah, gang violence is one of the most important and probably one of the saddest issues that we're facing in
Yeah.
the city today. It's hard to explain it to people who don't understand how it all happens, how it evolves, how young people join, why young people join gangs. It's it's tough, and it's not just here in Haverhill, it's everywhere. I think the police department is doing its best with the resources that it currently has to stem and combat and prevent the violence that does occur. A lot of this problem is gang members just won't talk for whatever reasons, whether they're just living in fear or they're not going to rat out their fellow members, gang members. It's tough. It's tough to get the kids to talk, and we're talking kids. We're talking
they're young kids. I mean,
the
the solution, is twofold. It's the criminal justice system, but it's also education and societal, reaching out to these kids and showing them another way.
Are we aware of any correlation between dropout rates and gang activity?
We can't speak to that officially because for many years we were told the absentee rate and the dropout rate and the bad attendance was, a couple hundred kids, and it turns out it's actually 1,000 plus.
Wow.
So that it's hard to utilize all your tools in your toolbox if you don't know that the issue is that bad. So I think with UTEC coming in, the mayor's, really stepped up, and he's trying to utilize all the instruments that could be out there. But it's parental, it's societal.
And are either one of you, I would imagine both of you to some degree, familiar with UTEC? I'm really not. I'm kind of late to the game.
Yeah, UTEC is out of Lowell, was where they started. And they have what they call street workers that go out and they try to explain to, especially the younger kids that aren't really all the way sucked in, that there's other opportunities out there if they could just come to the UTEC. In Lowell, they have a big building, and they offer jobs, they offer tutoring.
Is our center open here? Weren't we going to have a satellite center?
They were going to open a satellite. I know the street workers are here.
Right.
Yeah,
but I don't know that they have a space.
They don't have a space yet.
To my knowledge, they may.
Yeah. But they are currently, and have been for a number of months, on the ground working with the police, working with all the stakeholders.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is great because a lot of the members of UTEC are former gang members. So
really?
Yeah, a lot of them come from the gangs, and so they are success stories. And what they do is they try to help others, get out of the bad situations they're in, and provide them with some tools and resources that they need to get away from that environment.
That's good. That's good. If anyone wants to call in, by the way, our lines are open at 978-374-1900. That number again is 978-374-1900. We have a couple minutes to go to the break. What else do we have on the agenda tomorrow night? I had read it quickly and then didn't bring it with me. So
let's talk about the traffic safety concerns you brought up.
Oh, yes.
By the Hunking School.
Yeah.
Was that a constituent, Jason? Did he reach out to you?
No. It was a woman who does not want to be named. Reached out to me about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now. She, for the 5th time in the last month, her daughter was going to be marked tardy at school because they were trapped in a traffic jam coming up 125. And I said this when we were designing the new Bradford L, Hunking, not Bradford L, Hunking, that, there has to be another outlet. When I went there, they used
a couple years ago,
a couple decades
like myself,
ago.
Yeah. And you did too, Tom, right?
Sacred Hearts.
Oh, Sacred Hearts. That's right. That's right.
They utilize Winchester and Revere. I'm not saying they have to be utilized all the time. There has to be some kind of solution. That school, when I went there were only 400 students, and that wasn't really the era of driving to school and getting picked up from school.
Yeah, I got picked up from school once from my mother because I was in trouble, and that was the one time I was picked up from school. Times have changed,
Yeah.
I was at something with the mayor one time when someone just in frustration, an older person said, there just seems to be so many more cars today than when I was young, and this person was in their 80s, and there actually are. I mean, there's no more 0.7 cars per family. It's
So
it's
over
yeah,
two a
it's like,
household anyway,
Yeah,
probably.
2.5 or something. I don't want to just throw out numbers there. It is 6:15. WHAV 97.9 FM. We have to take a break.
Open mic.
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Why pay $250 to $350 a year for half as much news? On air and online. 97.9 WHAV provides more Greater Haverhill news more often than any other sources combined. Support the only Haverhill-based news source with your tax-deductible local news membership by clicking on the membership tab at whav.net.
That we deliberate and achieve with wisdom and understanding, recognizing the rights of all of our citizens with full regard for the dignity and justice of the individual.
Each week, WHAV News brings you live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Haverhill City Council. Listen to 97.9 WHAV FM each Tuesday night at 7 when the City Council is in session from the Theodore A. Pelosi Jr. City Council Chambers in City Hall. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Community Spotlight.
The Labor Guild School, the oldest continuing adult labor education center, is now registering students for its spring term. Labor professionals, facilitators, and lawyers make up the Guild School's faculty. Affordable classes in labor relations, steward training, municipal finance, retirement planning, conflict resolution, and strategic campaign communications are among the popular courses offered this term. The Labor Guild spring term begins March 11th. Contact the Labor Guild at 781-340-7887 or the Guild's website, laborguild.com.
Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at whav.net or email news@whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Tom Berger.
WHAV. WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening, welcome back. I'm Ralph Basiliere, and for Bill Masick, who's on special assignment. My co-host tonight is Melinda Barrett from the Haverhill City Council, and our guest for this first hour is Council Vice President Tom Sullivan. Before the break, we were talking about some traffic issues that you folks had been alerted to in the area of Hunkin School. So why don't we return to that discussion?
Okay, well, I was contacted by a different individual than Tom was, and I think the mayor's office was contacted by another person with various complaints about different aspects of the traffic trying to get into the Hunkin, especially at that 8 to 8:30 where the drop-off is, and then later on in the day for pickup. But it's especially onerous at the morning hours. People are trying to get to work, so there's a high volume of traffic on 125 anyway. And then all these people are trying to get, into the driveway there. There's only one way in.
Right.
So it backs up traffic. The lady that contacted me, her daughter had been late 5 times. She had been late for work a number of times because she gets caught in the traffic on 125. So we're not going to solve it Tuesday night. I just brought it up so we could kick this around in traffic and safety and see if there are other outlets that we could use, even if it's only for that half hour during pickup or drop-off.
It's a good idea. The gentleman who contacted me was a resident of Kensington Avenue, and his legitimate complaint, is that the residents of Kensington and Cumberland, they can't get out of their side streets during these peak traffic times because the traffic is all backed up and stuck at the lights and whatever the situation might be, but they're unable to turn right or left onto South Main Street for quite some time because nobody's letting them in or out. and it's a problem. So he had suggested maybe white painted lines in front of Kensington and Cumberland.
Yeah, the do not blocks, like they have on the
Jafarian Road.
They also have it on the bus exit at Hunkin.
Okay.
Before if you were going north, there's a bus exit on the other side of the the fire station there, and that doesn't always work apparently either. It was a when I went there were probably 400 kids, maybe 500 kids there. The volume of car action wasn't the same. Now we have 1,100 students, so that's pretty much 1,100 parents dropping off.
Yeah, which means we have 4 or 5 times more cars going to this school than we had.
And now they're only using one exit and entrance, whereas when I was a kid, there were at least 3.
So what will happen at the council? There'll be a discussion about this, and then will it likely go to the traffic?
Yeah, we'll go to traffic and safety, which is not the council. It's not a council committee. That's a police department controls that. So the city engineer will be there. Depending on what you're doing, a state engineer will probably be there because the state still controls the 125. We have a consent agreement with the state over what happens in that 125 intersection. So a state engineer would be there, probably an outside consultant, the police, the fire department, like
the people you need to solve this.
Correct.
All the stakeholders.
Yep.
Yeah. So, speaking of 125...
And the public could go to that, too.
Right.
It is open to the public.
Open, of course.
Speaking of 125, there's the new Dunkin' Donuts there, and I've seen some stuff where people are complaining about... I can't believe the city lets people take a left-hand turn there. So, just to let you know, to let you guys off the hook, that was the state that approved that.
Correct.
That area of 125 is under control of the state. The city had... virtually no say in it, if any say at all.
Well, and let's not forget there was a car dealership there
That's
before.
right.
So
But that's a different kind of volume than...
Well,
than
it is a different kind of volume, but it's zoned for business, and now it's up to the state, if we're going to have to go to the state, to figure out a better
I believe,
entrance and exit.
I went to the
pattern there.
traffic and safety meeting, and this was not on it, but there was some discussion about it.
Yeah, that seems to be
kind of in the wind, not official.
Yeah.
I know when that got permitted because I was involved in the permitting process because it does border wetlands. That when that was brought up, like that might not be such a great turn. It had already been approved by the DOT. So that's kind of at this point water under the bridge until they change something. What else do we have going on? What's going on at Winnie Kinney Castle, Tom? There was some part of the forestry program was executed in the fall.
Yeah, they did a cutting around Winnie Kinney, around the castle itself, and it was phase 1 of a project that we're going to continue, hopefully with phase 2 in 2019. The phase 1, people who have gone up and seen it, not everyone's a big fan of how it looks right now, but it's not finished, and that's the message that I hope to be able to convey tonight is we started a cutting project there, badly needed cutting project. There were so many dead trees, diseased trees. The forest has not been managed for over 100 years.
Right.
So unfortunately, when you do a cutting like this, a thinning project like this, you do leave a lot of stuff behind. But what they did leave behind was an unfinished project. The weather turned very wet in the fall.
Absolutely, yes.
I think we got 2 or 3 weeks of just rain, so they had to suspend the project. They'll be back to finish that as soon as they can get back out in the decent weather. I'm suspecting over the next couple months, and they will complete the cleaning up project for phase 1. And that's all around the castle vista itself. So it's kind of nice. It's very nice, actually. You can actually see the castle now again from Route 110 as it was when we were younger.
Yeah.
We always enjoyed the view of seeing a castle coming home from the beach. But you can also see, more importantly, when you're up top at the castle itself, you can see Canosa Lake. You can actually see around the lake. Not a clear view because we didn't
want what's called a screened view.
Yeah, a filtered view from the 20-30% cutting that they did in certain areas around it. I think in the long term it's going to be great. They're creating new trails as a result of the work that's been done. There are new trails being created that will be improved trails. There's been all kinds of trail work up there, as we know. And the Phase 2 project will actually be over in what they call the Plug Pond, the Birchwood area, where the Birchwood estate is. There'll be a second cutting over there. When all is said and done, the forest will look much better in the long run, and we will have improved trails, as well as real parking,
over near the Merrill Trail area, correct?
Well, that's a different project.
Okay.
That was the Merrill Trail cutting project that they did too. Another one that got controversial because of the extent of the cutting that was done, but that was badly needed. That was even worse over there than it was over by the castle itself.
There was an infestation there, right? No?
Yeah, well, we had an infestation of the woolly agelid, was what took down the hemlocks a few years ago. All of these cutting projects now and these efforts now are really to play catch up on neglect and just letting it go for
Tom,
100 years.
This isn't you going out there with an axe and a plaid shirt. And
no.
This is a group of people that are
the forest management. Yep, they're all foresters and environmental engineers and scientists. These guys know what they're doing, and gals know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
There's a science to this. Some people don't like it because they don't want change, or they don't like the way it looks right away. And they're right. It doesn't look
initially it's unsightly,
great right away, but over time it will come back.
If we had been doing a management of taking down 10 trees.
Certain
areas,
every other
pruning
year,
a little
5 years, 10 years.
Having someone in there every year, just taking a couple down, dragging them out.
Now, back to the Merrill Trail, as I understand it, some of the problem was, I read a comment once where someone said the forests have been there for 1,000 years, why does Haverhill need to manage them? Which is absolutely incorrect. 105 years ago, there wasn't a tree over there.
Yep.
Then when people started to think along ecological terms, they planted without biodiversity, most particularly along the Merrill Trail area, so that when an infestation of something comes in,
right,
it wipes it out.
It wipes it out. That was a absolute terrible example of how to manage forests. But my larger point is that people a number of years ago called for this. Correct? They were banging the doors at City Hall, so to speak, saying, why aren't we managing this forest, this beautiful asset? There's, this bug taking over, and there's not diversity. And then the forest management plan came into effect. Is that historically correct?
Yeah, over time in recent years, there's been more awareness that this is an issue and this is something that's important to do. So yeah, the coalition is built over time, and the mayor set up the Forest Management Committee to deal with the forests in Haverhill. We have 35 square miles in Haverhill. We've got tons and tons of forests. Winnikinny and Canozer and the Millvale, I think that comprises about 700 acres or more, just right there. There's also a cutting project coming in the future for Millvale, which would be on the other side of Necco, on the other side of the college. So yeah, it just makes sense. You know, if we want to keep the forest healthy for the future generations, then we have to start repairing and regenerating them now. So it's all good stuff.
I was up there during some of the cutting, and I attended some of the meetings with Rob Moore at the Conservation Department, and there really is a science behind it. They're really extraordinarily careful about what trees they take and what trees they don't. And some of what they leave on the ground is necessary for the smaller habitat.
For the
mice,
animals,
squirrels, to hide from predators.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the complaints have been that they leave too much of that stuff behind. I tend to agree that it does look like they do leave too much of it behind.
And some of the things
in
they
some
left
locations.
And in some instances, they left it behind for runoff, so you wouldn't get a
you wouldn't get all that turbidity in the lake.
Right.
Because initially, when you do this, you're going to have higher yields in the lake from rainfall.
Well, what I hope to happen in the spring, there's been a lot of complaints about how it looks along Canozer Canozer Street, going up to Northern Essex on the right-hand side.
Well, it's kind of not done.
It's not done. The problem is the forest management company that was hired to do the job is not responsible for that level of cleanup. What we need to do, whoever wants to support this, we need to have funds to either have the city hire a different company to just do a general cleanup, or have the city guys do a general cleanup of the wood and the debris that's been left behind along the road, along where you can see. You know, and it just needs to be cleaned up. There's a resident up there who's very, very upset about what he looks at across the street every day. I went up and I looked at the area. I would be upset if I looked across the street and saw what I saw every day, leftover debris and trees and whatnot. So I'm hoping we'll be able to get to that in the spring.
Yeah, that seems like it would be doable.
Yeah, it should be. Whether the city can do it itself, or it shouldn't be big dollars to get a company up there to chip away some of this stuff.
And with that, it's 6:30. We have to cut for a break to keep the lights on. I'm Ralph Basiliere. It's WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Basic and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 6:30.
97.9 FM, WHAV.
Catch the wave!
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning, right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather!
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Still very windy tonight with that high wind warning coming to an end at 7. We will see gradually clearing skies with temperatures dropping to 15. That'll put wind chills below zero as a west wind around 18 to 25 miles per hour will still be likely. For the day tomorrow, sunny skies, highs near 23. Wind chill values to zero, especially in the morning with a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind, gusts occasionally to 35 miles per hour. Mostly clear Tuesday night, a low around 5, and a few snow showers later on Wednesday, high 24. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening. Welcome back. It's 6:32. Welcome to the Open Mic Show. I'm Ralph Basiliere filling in for Bill Masick, who is on special assignment. I have my co-host, Melinda Barrett from the Haverhill City Council with me, and our special guest for this first hour, Vice President Tom Sullivan. And when we were off the air, we were talking a little more about what we had talked about before we went to break, and that was that, speaking of rain and it slowing down that project, it became a challenge for us with moving the Vietnam Veterans Memorial as well. We, my God, we had been assembled for 59 days before we had the ceremony when we had moved the park, and I joked to people that it had rained for 53, but I think it had actually rained for only 48.
Yeah.
It was a significant challenge.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it's
the
remarkable.
accomplishment. Yeah, to be able to have done that in that 59 days, given the weather and everything else, and the fact that it didn't cost anyone anything. Really, we were able to do that entire
thanks
project.
to some tremendous volunteer
Yeah, we had a great amount of support from the business community when we wanted to do that.
Yep, and we're going to need that in phase 2 too. Which
we absolutely are.
All three of us are on that commission. You are chairing it, of course, and doing a great job.
Thank you.
But phase 2 is really going to be the more formidable challenge.
Daunting.
We can do it,
especially with the timeline we've given ourselves.
Right.
Which may or may not be complete.
Exactly. Well, the next thing, in case people are wondering, is the drawings. We got conceptual drawings went to the commission for many considerations. There were some site visits. There's been a lot of back and forth. And we're probably, I'd say, about a week away from getting the final drawings from Fred Clark, a local landscape architect who's doing this for free for us.
Yep.
His services are worth many, many thousands of dollars. So we certainly appreciate that. But when we get that, we have to conduct an open meeting and of the commission, and we have to decide.
Well, we still have to decide what the monuments are
Gonna
going to
be.
Yeah,
look like.
we have to make some final decisions and get it on the mayor's desk.
Right. It's all very doable.
Yeah.
It's going to require your continued leadership, and,
Right.
and
And-
fortunately,
and
you're able to
there'll
devote
be
a lot of time to it.
Some
Yeah.
fundraising, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
even with all this gratis work, which is remarkable.
Right.
And we're very grateful for it. I mean, just materials alone for the
Right.
conceptual is
Going to be very expensive.
very
yeah.
expensive.
But we can do it. I mean, I recently had read. I was reading Doris Kearns Goodwin's most recent book on leadership, and it taught me something very important there. And that is, when you're a public servant, you which I am. You get to the point where you have to make yourself. I think she uses the word vulnerable to the public. You have to say, hey, listen, I want to do this, and I can't do it without you, and I need your help.
Yeah.
And we will. Our commission cannot do it. The mayor, the council, the commission, the department heads cannot do it without the support of the city. We're going to need every man, woman, and child, every service organization, every veterans organization, the business community to join us.
It's going to be. It's going to happen.
It is going to
Yeah,
happen.
no.
Yes.
But it's definitely going to happen. It's going to make a really nice addition to that area, and it's long overdue.
Yeah, and it already has made a nice addition. The neighbors,
Yeah.
both the neighbors right abutting the park, as well as
Right.
the greater Highland area, they've all kind of embraced the
You
idea.
know, really, I've made a couple of. I've made some mistakes along the way, and I'll make some more. But when I can look at the couple things I've really done right, reaching out to that neighborhood was one of my better decisions. Having their support has really made the difference.
Absolutely, and
Linda
Brown, having her on the committee is fantastic. Linda Brown's also going to be taking over Brightside July 1st. She's
Good
going to
news.
take over for Chris Rao, who did a great job. And that is great news because Linda's heart is definitely in Haverhill, and she is devoted to anything she gets involved in. And while we're talking about that, Ralph, we need to contact Linda if you could. We need a photo drawing, the sketch of the sign that they're going to put across the street, identifying welcome to the Haverhill Highlands or welcome to the Highlands.
Oh, that's
Right.
going to be across the street, yep.
It's going to be on the opposite corner.
Which is called White Park.
Yeah, and they're having a very nice, tasteful sign being created by, I believe, a designer who actually lives in the Highlands area. And we're going to want one similarly for our side, the
Right,
Vietnam
one that will
vet
match,
side,
right.
that will match. But Fred Clark's looking for a drawing of theirs so that he could put a conceptual match together.
We can get that done.
Yeah, it exists. We saw the drawing at one of the meetings we had on site, but I didn't take one. But it's out there. Yeah, we got to get that to Fred. I didn't want to forget that. He just emailed before the show started.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So you can see we are working on this every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not like we just come
Yeah,
here and talk about
the
it.
secretary.
Yeah, the Secretary of Veterans
Veterans Affairs.
Services recently,
He was,
Francisco Urena recently visited the site, had some...
He was very supportive.
Yeah, he's very
Which
supportive.
he would be, but
Right.
even more supportive. I mean, he seems genuine.
Right.
Seems really real and interested in helping us with this project. Gave us some good ideas.
He did, and then he went down to see Plugs as you had told
Oh,
him
he
to.
did.
Yeah, and then he came back and
He came
stopped
back.
again.
Yeah.
Yep.
You might have gone by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came back and had another look.
Well, what I had done was I had asked him to try to visualize having this park here as well as that pond there with all the recreational facilities that go on there, or activities that go on there at the recreational facility, and try to imagine if we could improve the Plug Pond facility as well with some major improvements to the structures and to the parking, and maybe add
Yeah.
some different recreational
Yeah, maybe
uses
have
over there.
some different uses, especially like this time of year.
Well, this park will be a good gateway to that.
Correct.
A good
Yeah.
start.
That was my point. It's like just try to imagine the improvements that
Right.
will stem from this one park if we can keep moving. it's just another area of Haverhill that's just a great part of town. We've got so many great neighborhoods and so many wonderful parks and recreational facilities, and I think we've come a long way in improving a lot of them.
Just having it there is, if we had done nothing else, that would have been a great improvement.
Yeah, even if we just took the
right. If we stopped
the existing,
if we had stopped on November 10th, we had made major improvements. But really, we want to do more. We want to include all Vietnam era veterans in it.
Show the impact of
we
want to make it a learning tool,
right? The learning tool, the educational component.
Yeah. I mean, it's so important.
Yeah, Melinda, you had seen a app that Beverly had used.
Yeah, Beverly, which you were going to go to a meeting with the chief of staff of the mayor of Beverly and somebody from his economic development department, the VSO, a Vietnam veteran, who had all worked on a committee that they redid their veterans memorial, Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And it was a really nice job, very informative, because after us, people will be like, Vietnam, that's where they make, whatever, shoes or my clothes.
It's important.
It's come a long way, our relations with Vietnam, but we have to explain
how we got
right
there and what happened to all these kids. Basically,
right, they were very young when they went.
That were called either drafted or volunteered to go.
Yeah, I think if we can try to, we've discussed this. There were definitely some things if you want to make an educational component that you can't turn your back on. Agent Orange,
right? Which Beverly addressed.
Right. What it means to be drafted. I mean, think of the
whole
drafting
process.
The drafting process.
People don't understand that there was a time
you were done. Your number.
Yeah. You had to sign up.
You got a piece of mail, which was at that time the modern internet.
I will never forget that because when I was of age, the draft had just ended the month before.
Yeah.
So that's how close I came to having to at least sign up for the draft.
I remember
military
my
service.
brothers. Their numbers didn't come out, but their friends, bunch of their friends did.
Yeah, they were definitely.
They were definitely that era.
I was told a story once about a graduating class in Haverhill High, and forgive me that I don't remember if it was 67 or 68, where everybody got a notice before graduation, and on a Saturday afternoon, just after graduation, they all were required, every single male in the class, to get on a Navy bus at the post office in Washington Square and go down to the Charleston Navy Yard for physicals. And he told me, Ralph, the city changed that day forever. A lot of lives changed. And that story's always stuck with me.
That should be part of the component.
Yeah.
And also in Beverly, they had their plaques that explained it, but then there were also a way that you could find out about the individuals that were on their memorial, their histories, pictures of them, that, names on a wall.
Right.
But this app would show you,
give you additional
went to school, his
about
family, people he left behind, his hobbies, things he liked to do before he left.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and it's so. It struck me as I look out from our ramp that day, a stage that we had to build because of all the rain. And I can speak for my family when my uncle's only child, my cousin, was there with her children and with theirs.
Yeah.
That's how much time has gone by, and it speaks to something of the volume of the loss too.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
Yeah, very difficult time.
Yep.
Today, the Haverhill Lodge of Elks has been conducting on Friday afternoons a Pass the Hat fundraiser. Throw in $5 into the hat. And today, in the mayor's office, they presented us with the largest monetary donation we have received this far of $1,115.
That's great.
Yeah, so
thank you.
They have a long, proud tradition of supporting veterans here in Massachusetts, and Haverhill has shown their merit in that too, and we very much appreciate that. $1,115 from the Haverhill Lodge of Elks.
Thank you very much.
That was run by my friend Fran Wilson.
Fran's a good guy.
So I don't know what the Elks sign is to say good things, but yay Elks, yay Elks. It's 6:45. We've got to take a break to keep the lights on. My name's Ralph Basiliere, and we'll be right back after this.
Open mic.
Bill Basic and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Stay informed each day with local news, coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave.
When the Haverhill School Committee meets, 97.9 WHAV FM is there live from Haverhill City Hall. Class sizes, special education, teacher hiring, and spending are among the topics covered Thursday nights at 7 when the school committee is in session. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Welcome back. It's 6:46. I'm Ralph Basiliere, here with Council Vice President Tom Sullivan and City Councilor Melinda Barrett. Tom, don't you have something else going on at Winnie Kinney that?
Yeah, there's actually another monument project coming up for Winnie Kinney at the basin, in the area around the basin. The Haverhill Community Violence Prevention Coalition Group, they've been around since probably late 80s, early 90s. They've been here. They were like the first group to address violence back in the day, before you had a plethora of all these groups that now exist to handle all the social issues and needs that we have. They're like the pioneers back in the day. They've been around for a long time, and they'll be disbanding because they found that now that there are so many other groups set up, they can retire. They can let the others carry the mission. But they had some money left in their account, and they wanted to create a lasting monument to preventing violence, especially violence against children. So they asked if the city would accept a gift of a monument to be done by Dale Rogers to be installed at Winnie Kinney Park. And that project is moving forward. It's advancing, and it looks like the monument will either be located somewhere in the area of the playground, down at the front entrance area of the park, or it'll be just beyond that, up behind that in what's called a meadow area. And the meadow area is starting to get a little more interest because their thought is to have this monument there with some benches around it, comfortable seating and whatnot, where people could go and sit and be quiet and meditate and reflect on maybe
do Tai Chi or something.
Yeah, do whatever they want to do, but do it in a quiet setting to reflect on maybe members of their own families who have been lost by whatever acts of violence or just otherwise. So. The monument's probably going to be installed by Memorial Day is the goal. And in April, as part of Earth Day, the cleanup, we're going to also make sure that we do an extra special cleanup of the area around the basin and around the meadow. And the monument itself will be something very simple, very tasteful. It'll have an anti-violence message on it that people can sit and read and reflect and hopefully teach their children.
Yeah, the basin actually looks, we did a bunch of cleanup there last year for Earth Day, as I was.
Yep, the basin's
it looks pretty good.
Looking good. There's also a mobile fountain going in the basin that we hope to maybe inaugurate or launch at the same time as the monument is unveiled. It'll just be a simple pipe in the middle of the basin type device. It'll spray water up 20-25 feet in the basin, in the middle of the basin. It's good for the fish. It aerates the water. It's good for calming effect for people who want to sit and just listen to, that type of fountain.
Yeah. Some
But
white noise.
Some white noise, some quiet noise, though. So, always looking to make efforts to improve the park. We've come a long way. We got lighting last year around the tennis hut, which was badly needed.
Yeah, yeah.
Got some new lighting coming up top.
How about the courts?
The courts are always, they're always working on the courts. Did they get the nets, by the way? Did they end up getting the new nets last year?
I believe we did. As I played, my 6 weeks that I played tennis.
League. Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
6 weeks, that's all.
Yep, we've got a new fence around
But
there.
that is a very busy 3 courts there, always active.
It's a very busy park.
It's a very busy
Hundreds
park.
of people, if not thousands, are in
And
that park every day.
We had discussed at one point in Open Space and Recreation committee meeting a couple of years ago, maybe 3, that we wanted to take some of the traffic off there and have other entrances to the park. Having said that, the Merrill Trail project, the laydown area they used to do that project, the staging area will now be
that will become a parking area.
That will become parking, right?
For the first time ever, we'll have parking over on that side of the lake.
Which if you were just going to do your lap around, you could
That's a
park
great
there,
spot.
That's a great spot to come in and out. And also, we talked about the gateway to Winnie-Kinney with the Millbrook Park. A lot of people don't know, but the trail systems connect there.
Yes, Plug Pond and which is also known as Lake Saltonstall and Winnie-Kinney are connected by a trail that's really only 10 to 15 minute walk from one side to the other. Before I forget, your next guest, the Team Haverhill group, are coming in. They're also doing a project at Winnie-Kinney. They're proposing to restore, refurbish as best they can the Dudley Porter Fountain that's located on the Dudley Porter Trail.
That's a big project.
That's a big undertaking.
It is.
Because
I think Kevin, I believe Kevin's coming, the president, if he's one of your guests tonight, he's spearheading that effort.
We'll have to ask him about
that could be good.
That could be fabulous.
Huge. But we're not talking the Carlton fountain now. We're not talking about the fountain that's on.
Oh, you're talking about yes, I know.
We're talking about the fountain that
the halfway point, basically.
Dudley Porter Trail.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful too.
Where you can sit. You can sit there. All the rhododendrons, right?
Where the rhododendrons are and back and whatnot, and they've come up with a plan.
Back in the day, that used to spout water to feed horses
through the lion's mouth. The lion's mouth. Yeah.
Right, horseback riding was the big recreation thing.
Well, their goal is to restore that, and I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited about that too.
I'm very happy that they took this.
That's an absolutely beautiful piece of architecture.
And don't forget, we have Eagle Scout projects going on up there all the time. It's and all over the city, not just at Winnie-Kinney. The Eagle Scouts are doing great work. You were at a couple of the ceremonies, and we're all aware of the good work they've been doing. So
I always like to just want to remind our listeners that you can call in at 978-374-1900 if you have a question for Council Vice President Tom Sullivan or Councilor Melinda Barrett. 978-374-1900 is our number. When we speak about Plug Pond, Lake Saltonstall, we have a call, so why don't we go ahead and take that call? Hello, caller.
Yes, I have a little something that might be of interest to veterans of World War II, specifically veterans of the Navy. I was really surprised yesterday when my two grandchildren came to the house and they provided me with a replica of the USS Alaska that I served on in World War II.
Is the USS Alaska a submarine, sir?
No, the USS Alaska was one of 3 that was built towards the end of the war. It had the speed of a cruiser, and it had the armament of a battleship.
Wow.
And they built 3 of them, the Alaska, the Guam, and Hawaii.
And what type of ship was it, sir?
It was a battle cruiser.
Battle cruiser.
And you know how they did it?
Tell me.
They had for Christmas, they got a 3D printer, and they had some kind of fiberglass that they used, and they actually produced a facsimile of the USS Alaska.
Wow.
Here I am sitting in my little room here, and I'm looking up there on the mantle, and there's the USS Alaska.
Well, that's great.
So, sir, you know,
amazing?
I'm a veteran. Go ahead.
Veterans, U.S. veterans, and I'm sure armament veterans too, especially with tanks and things like that. I would say all they have to do is contact their congressman, and they'll get because each of these ships had what was before they were commissioned out of the service. They did a yearbook, and that's what I had. I had a yearbook. So when they I don't know, they didn't get it from the yearbook. They get it from Bupers, I think, or the federal government. And honest to God, it brought back fond memories, I'll tell you.
Oh, that's a really nice gift.
Yeah, that was lovely.
You know, I served in the Marines.
Of the Alaska with its big guns in front, quad 40s all over the place, 5-inch turrets. That was my job. I was in one of those 5-inch turrets. They had two guys.
Now, was that anti-air?
Pardon?
Was the turret guns for anti-air?
Yes, they were. I think they were 5-inch, and there was two guys working in that turret. One was for elevation, and one for side to side. They called them gun pointer, and I forgot. I learned how to use them down at Quonset Point in Rhode Island.
Wow. Now, were you the gun pointer?
I was I was the pointer. The other guy was called the sight setter.
Wow.
And guess where I ended up.
I would think Connecticut.
My first job, I was the seaman, shore patrol guy in charge of the Waves barracks down in...
Oh, wow, that must have been awful.
It was terrible.
That must have been awful. You know, I was in the Marines. I've never met a sailor I didn't like, but I do like the Waves better.
Yeah. And all I do remember, though, is every day we took our arms, which in those days were Winchester sixes, that hold the clip of, I think, of six chambers. And the other thing that I carried was a 45.
Wow.
And I never carried a gun after that. I realized how guns are so important to some people, and I just never took to it. But then my next tour of duty, I went to Boston, and from Boston I went to Brookline, and then from Brookline I went aboard the USS Alaska, which actually was tied right up in Bayonne, New Jersey, prior to going down, for its. It had two engagements in the South Pacific, but we were tied up. Listen to this. We were tied up right next to the Wasp. Remember about the Wasp?
USS Wasp. Yep.
Yeah, that was the one where the kamikaze dove into the elevator and he destroyed everything and he killed an awful lot of guys.
Yeah, there was a lot of casualties on the USS Wasp.
Yeah.
Now, what years did you serve in the Navy, sir?
Pardon?
What years did you serve in the Navy?
In the 50s, early 50s.
In the 50s?
Yeah, I just barely graduated from high school. In fact, I got an early graduation because, I wanted to get in the Navy, and I wanted to get in so badly, and I was underweight. In those days, you had to be at least 103 pounds. And I can remember that I ate all kinds of foods prior to that to get, to get in the Navy, and I did. I did. And it was quite an experience, I'll tell you. I learned a lot. Of.
Did you get to travel outside of the United States as well, sir?
Yeah, one sortie to the South Pacific. But
there's nothing like travel.
First thing we went to was Cuba, where we went to when we had a shakedown.
Yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, shakedown cruise.
Yeah, you know what that is.
Yep, I went on five deployments in the Marine Corps, all on flat bottom ships, LSTs. So I know what it's like to be seasick. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for calling. We have to take a break. Have a word from our sponsors. Okay, are you there, sir? Okay, we're gonna take a break. This is 97.9 FM WHAV, the Open Mic Show, and we'll be back right after this word from our sponsors.
Open Mic.
Bill Basic and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening in local news. I'm Wynn Damon. Haverhill City Council President John Mitchison is speaking for the city and saying enough. In the wake of a dozen shootings and stabbings over the last 9 months, 2 of them fatal, Mitchison, along with Councillor Michael McGonigal, has requested Haverhill Police Chief Alan Denaro to update residents on the efforts to curb gang-related violence. And tomorrow night, Denaro plans to do just that at the Haverhill City Council meeting. On Friday, Mitchison told his constituents that he had serious concern for the safety of Haverhill at large after a spate of what he calls senseless violence. He said that this should not be the new normal. He says it's a serious concern that warrants our full attention. As a community, we need to come together to ensure the safety of all Haverhill citizens, unquote. As WHAV previously reported, Haverhill men Jeffrey Larkin and Nike Cologne were gunned down 11 days apart in May of last year, with Cologne's murder triggering what police called an all-out gang war in the city. At least one of the subsequent shootings on Fifth Avenue in June of last year was seen as a retaliatory strike against those close to Eddie Almonte, Cologne's alleged killer. Several incidents of violence in recent months have not injured residents, but instead put them on high alert after homes on North, Marshall, and Rockland Streets were shot at, one property on Lowell Avenue, last known address of Elijah Oliver, a ranking gang member, according to police, was both shot at and firebombed. All victims of recent crimes, with the exception of Larkin and Cologne, survived. Victims in 3 of the shootings are getting closer to justice, with their alleged shooters' cases being heard in Superior Court. Brothers Gilbert Vasquez and Jose Vasquez Jr., charged with armed assault to murder after a July double stabbing in Lafayette Square, had their case dismissed by the district attorney's office when witnesses refused to cooperate. 3 other shooting cases remain unsolved. And drivers planning to travel 495 northbound in Haverhill tomorrow are advised that the left lane between exits 48 and 49 will be closed to traffic as Mass DOT continues the highway bridge reconstruction. Work takes place between 6 a.m. and 1 p.m., weather permitting, with signage tomorrow used to guide motorists. And Haverhill police are seeking the public's assistance in locating a missing juvenile. They say the 13-year-old Aaron Nichols, described as being 5 feet 6 inches tall and 135 pounds, is missing. She was last seen wearing gray sneakers, gray sweatpants, and a navy blue hooded sweatshirt, and she was last seen in the Bradford area of Haverhill. There is information she may possibly be in Amesbury. And if located, please contact the Haverhill Police Department or your local police department. In sports, it's tournament time on the high school scene in boys basketball. First-round play, Division I North Sectionals. On Wednesday night, Haverhill is going to be at Lawrence. And tomorrow night, Chelsea at Central Catholic. In Division II, first-round play, tonight, Burlington is at North Andover. And in Division III, first-round play, tonight, Bedford is going to be at Pentucket. And girls basketball, Division I North Sectional quarterfinals. Tonight, Waltham is at Haverhill, and Arlington is going to be at Central Catholic. In Division II, on Thursday night, Pentucket is going to be hosting a game in the quarterfinals, their opponent to be determined. In hockey, Division II, the North Sectionals. Tomorrow night, Pentucket takes on Marblehead in a first-round game. And in girls hockey, Division I, Methuen is in the quarterfinals, but their opponent has yet to be determined. In Division II girls hockey, tomorrow night, Central Catholic takes on Matignon in Charlestown in a preliminary round game. Elsewhere, the Red Sox play the Pirates today in exhibition baseball. The Bruins are back in action tomorrow night hosting the Sharks, while the Celtics are on the road tomorrow night taking on the Toronto Raptors. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and there's always more at WHAV.net where you can sign up for the free newsletter. Do it today. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Win Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Giles Gibson. The opposition Labour Party in the UK says it would back a second EU referendum if their own Brexit deal is rejected by Parliament in a vote set for Wednesday. US President Donald Trump is on his way to Vietnam for his second summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And a senior member of the Taliban has held talks with a top US envoy about a potential peace plan in Afghanistan.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Still very windy tonight, but that high wind warning coming to an end at 7. We will see gradually clearing skies with temperatures dropping to 15. That'll put wind chills below zero as a west wind around 18 to 25 miles per hour will still be likely. For the day tomorrow, sunny skies, highs near 23. Wind chill values to zero, especially in the morning, with a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind, gusts occasionally to 35 miles per hour. Mostly clear Tuesday night, a low around 5. And a few snow showers later on Wednesday, high 24. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening. Welcome back. I'm Ralph Basiliere in for Bill Masick, who's on special assignment. This is the Open Mic Show. We have just been joined in the second hour by members of Team Haverhill. We have Kevin Barrett, who is the president, Lisa Basiliere, who is the vice president, and Jeff Grassi, a volunteer, all with Team Haverhill. And we've received some news about the wrestling team.
Yes, from Bill. He sent us this message about the boys, the Haverhill High wrestling team, which had a fabulous season this year. This past Friday and Saturday, they competed in the All-State Tournament at St. John's Prep, and 3 of the wrestlers made it to qualify for this Friday and Saturday's tournament for the New England Tournament in Providence, Rhode Island. Jake Nicolosi placed 3rd, Joe Santoro placed 5th, and Sam Prescott placed 6th. And we just want to give them a shout out and wish them well in their upcoming tournaments. And we should also mention that the girls basketball team, for the first time in many years, made the tournament this year, and they're playing tonight, starting at 7, I think, at the high school. So if you're around, jump in your car and go up. And I think the boys also made the tournament, and I think they're playing Wednesday.
Wonderful.
So
all good news out of Haverhill High School athletics.
Yes, and I apologize for taking up your time, Team Haverhill.
That's good news.
Because you have good things to speak of.
Yes. So, for those of us who don't know much about it or anything about it, for our listening audience, what is Team Haverhill and what's your mission? What is it that you do?
Team Haverhill is an all-volunteer action group that's dedicated to making Haverhill a better place to live, learn, work, and play.
Wow. And you have some things going on let me see. We'll get back to Winnie Kinney in a few minutes, but something is coming up in my ear. The producer's telling me about Possible Dreams.
Possible Dreams. That's Monday, March 11th at 7 p.m. at the Northern Essex Community College Technology Center. And if you're not familiar with Possible Dreams, it's essentially a community visioning event where we invite the whole city into one room and have small group conversations and then work on new ideas that come up from residents and kind of harness those ideas and try to pair up people with like-minded thoughts and harness energy around what ideas might have potential to become something in Haverhill's future.
Now, do you go into this with topics already in mind or assigned, or do you let it kind of take?
It's almost completely organic. We don't have anything laid out in advance. We invite everybody. It's free to attend. It's a very welcoming, upbeat, positive night, and we just try to get people to, find something that they're passionate about, that they might want to, network, form relationships with other people that have the same kind of aspirations, and pair them up and try to get some action going on individual ideas that people may have.
So right off the bat, I'm a conservation commissioner, so I think like one. And it seems to me that you might have people who have ideas for park and recreation improvements, and there might be a business aspect to that. People might be interested in improving small businesses, so it could be kind of anything. Yeah. Wow.
I've gone a number of times. It's really just comes off the table. You're
literally right on the table.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they write on another table, and then out of that they throw everything on a board, and who wants to take this on? And they also have like the shoot for the star things, and then the really doable, we can get this done in a short window.
So it sounds like a local, organically grown think tank to me, is what it seems to resemble to me.
Ralph. Yes, I think you'd enjoy it.
Don't you want great minds there?
Yeah, we do want great minds.
All right, I'll be there.
And energy and fun.
Yeah. But it's Monday. You'll have to work, right?
Yeah, you might have to be on special assignment.
I might have to be on special. Yeah, I have no ball and chain here other than tonight. So you've had one of these before.
We've had 11 of them before.
We've had 11 of them.
Missed 11, I guess.
Wow. Where was I?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This
is what happens when you don't have social media.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of ideas have you seen come in the past?
That's a good question. I can take that. I can take that.
Sure.
So about 10 years ago, my first Possible Dreams, one of the dreams was to have a revitalized farmers market. And so that's what got me started volunteering in the city. And so my husband and I have been doing the farmers market now for 10 years. And we'll start our 11th season.
Oh, you're looking at him. Is he your husband?
He is my husband.
No, see, I didn't know that.
That's different last name.
Fun fact. All right.
Yeah, so farmers market was one of the big ideas that came out of Possible Dreams. The River Ruckus Music Festival came out of
I love the River Ruckus Music Festival. I never knew.
Someone stood up and said they wanted a music festival.
Great idea. I love the River Ruckus. I love the positive attention it brings to the downtown area.
And so
I never knew that was you guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shock.
The shoes.
Yeah, actually our focus on Team Haverhill are typically art projects, art, environment, and community.
Oh.
So this
shoes, the playground.
Yeah, so the art parts have been murals and
the big four-story high mural on Essex Street. That's
and all the murals like on the side alleys, all those.
Hues of the Heart, is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that mural. And now we have some more murals downtown too.
Which
so
is great.
The idea, even if you're not responsible for those, you certainly spark the.
Which is wonderful.
It really is. Yeah. You know what else I like too? I don't know if that was you guys, but the forks and spoons in the crosswalks.
No, there wasn't us.
That was Linda Germain,
I like that as
And
well.
Yep.
Yeah, so something else you.
So cute, right? I like that.
It seems that after that Hues of the Heart mural went up, and it was so successful, and it really is congratulations. It's a beautiful piece of work. That really has sparked so much more interest in using space like that.
Right, and getting that idea as a public art.
There's a lot of history in that mural too.
Yeah, there is.
A lot of people have a connection to that mural.
Rob Zombie's there.
Yeah, I was one of the artists.
Were you one of the artists?
Yeah.
Really? So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we hired a company called Meg Saligman Studios down from Philadelphia. They put a call out there, and this is the company that they chose for it. And what they did, they had one of their lead artists come up, and they needed an assistant to kind of help, with the labor and just, painting of it too. So they asked me to join James Stoffel-Schuster, who is the lead artist. And what we did is, in the first year of it, we went to all the schools, we went to the senior center, and it was a paint-by-numbers mural, which most people don't realize. We would have these 5x6 canvases we'd bring to the schools, already laid out with the numbers, and then we would go there, the kids would paint it, seniors would paint it, the whole public would paint all these. And in the end, I think we had about 60 of these canvases, and then they went back down to Philadelphia, filled in a lot of the things, came back, and then we had to prep the whole wall, and then we glued those canvases onto the wall, and then after that, then we had to paint in all the rest of it.
Wow.
So it all tied in. So it was
I happen to know that someone had mentioned her earlier, Leota Surratt.
Mm-hmm.
Her daughter is on there.
Yes.
Right?
Actually, there are a bunch of
There's a
community
lot
members
of people
in
on there.
Yeah.
And Rob Zombie's on there. Who else is on there?
Tom Bergeron, who is...
Tom Bergeron, who got a start right here at WHAV. Yeah, local guy. Moody.
Carlos Pena, I think.
Carlos Pena.
Callister Bird.
Yeah, who was the guy with the movies there? Was it Mayer?
Louis B. Mayer.
Louis B. Mayer, right.
Of the MGM.
Right, from Haverhill.
Right.
Macy's Parade, William Macy. I think William Macy.
Yeah.
That's
so
fantastic.
That's one of the ideas, but it doesn't have to be such a big idea.
Right.
There could be small ideas like a cleanup.
Some of those ideas weren't necessarily from Possible Dreams. Those were other Team Haverhill projects.
Right.
But as far as Possible Dreams go, the recycling you mentioned, right? The revitalization of the Haverhill Farmers Market, the River Ruckus Festival, and then in past years we've seen the disc golf.
Right,
disc golf was something that came up that
that's really taken off.
That's
fun. We have to take a break to hear from our sponsors, but the disc golf is something that has me terribly interested. I'll tell you why when we get back. I'm Ralph Basiliere. This is the Open Mic with WHAV. We'll be back right after this.
Open Mic!
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Your membership enables WHAV to remain local and independent. Consider joining at WHAV.net.
Paul Ryan, Haverhill High School class of 1971, and Tommy Morgan, Haverhill High School class of 2013, are good sports. They're on 97.9 WHAV FM every Wednesday night from 6 till 8. Ryan and Morgan talk about local high school sports, the Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and more. You can join in with your calls. Good Sports is sponsored in part by Haverhill attorney Gerard Laflamme. Good Sports every Wednesday night at 6 on the Wave 97.9 WHAV FM.
Community Spotlight.
Have time on Thursday the 28th to do a good deed? The town of Groveland would appreciate it. The American Red Cross is headed to Groveland's Town Hall, 183 Main Street, February 28th for the first of 4 blood drives this year. Held from 1 to 6 p.m., the drive is open to all, and donors are encouraged to make an appointment by visiting redcrossblood.org/give. Submit your own nonprofit event and announcements at least in advance. For best results, use the online form under the WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening and welcome back. I'm Ralph Basiliere, and this is the Open Mic Show, where I am filling in for Bill Masick, who is on special assignment. And I have to admit that I really don't know what special assignment means. My first night in radio. I'm here tonight with my special co-host, Melinda Barrett from the Haverhill City Council, and we have Kevin Burke, Lisa Marzilli and Jeff Grassi of Team Haverhill here. And just before we went to the break, we were discussing disc golf. And I shared with you that shortly before I was appointed onto the Conservation Commission, the commission had permitted disc golf up at the Clement Farm. Now, I walk my dog Elvis up there a lot. I exercise him up there. He's a service dog in training, and that's where I take him off Eston. He loves the place. And it is always busy, even during the rain.
Yep.
So that was a Team Haverhill project?
No. It was an idea that came
That
up
came-
at Possible Dreams.
Possible Dreams.
That other citizens took it on and connected and made it
Wow.
happen.
I really do have to come to this, because so far out of Possible Dreams, we've got the farmers market and the River Ruckus and the disc golf.
Yep. And other things like Restaurant Week was talked about a lot. The Woolworth building replacement was talked about a lot when it was vacant.
So if someone's listening and they have an idea that they want to do something more about than just complain on Facebook, let's say.
Yeah, this is action.
Yeah,
this is
is-
let's talk about it.
So tell them what to do if they know absolutely nothing, starting from blank, what to do about going to Possible Dreams.
Do you have to
at the
sign
next
up?
one.
Do you want to talk about that?
You should register. The
Okay.
best way to do that is to go to teamhaverhill.org, and from there you'll see down the bottom there's an events tab it says Possible Dreams 2019 registration now open. If you click on that, it will take you to the registration page. That is definitely the first step.
Okay, so
and
the
that'll
first
tell you
step.
the information of where
It's again, it is 7 to 9 p.m. on March 11th at the Northern Essex Community College Technology Center. Doors open at 6:30. We do light refreshments and seating, but the event promptly starts at 7.
And judging by the past, how many people do you have come?
I'd say between about 100 and 150.
You draw 150 people to this event.
Yes.
And you don't have to, buddy up with somebody
No.
because you're not going to end up at the same table
can sit,
probably.
right.
And it's not a lot of dead air because you
Right.
get an assignment and you start brainstorming.
They'll ask a question like, what do you? We usually start with like a opener, like what do you like about Haverhill? What do you like about your neighborhood? What do you like about something? And get some ideas flowing, and then you'll switch tables. So you get different. You get to meet different people.
You meet different people, but it's not like that awkward. Like
No.
I have
Not at
nothing
all.
to
Yeah.
say because you're talking.
It's about
on
this
form.
size, 4 or
Yeah.
5 people at a table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that at conferences, environmental conferences. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what makes it so unique to Haverhill. It's the kind of event that is really a brainstorming or workshopping type of event that you normally see in the corporate world or, at an industrial seminar or something like that. Very rarely do you see that. I don't know of any place else, and I've done some research behind the scenes that where you see that on a community-driven level.
Well, I've got to tell you, I'm officially impressed because I know what it takes to get 100 or 150 people to an event.
Well, the
It's a
evening's
huge
hosted by
undertaking,
Alice
yeah.
Mann. I don't know if you know Alice, but Alice is,
I do know the name, yes.
She's past president of Team Haverhill. She's one of the founders of Team Haverhill, and she really does an amazing job at facilitating the whole evening. She's kind of the host, but she's also the real brains behind planning out the movements of the evening and keeping the conversation moving along and how to drive action steps and get the whole thing together. So
Wow,
A lot of energy.
Yeah, this is
A lot
very
of energy.
fascinating. So, which of you three plays disc golf? Anybody?
Actually, we do.
Yeah,
We're learning.
Play it? You're
We're
learning,
learning.
yeah.
We
We're
bought
terrible.
it and
But
terrible.
we did buy the disc.
I noticed instead of having different size clubs, they have different size
Right.
disc for in colloquial terms or in vernacular, what people would call frisbees, but they're
Right.
not. Actually, someone lost someone.
It's easy to lose them. Really.
Yeah, someone had one on the field, and my dog Elvis took possession of it. So Elvis loves disc golf.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Of course he does.
Yeah, Elvis loves disc
Put your
golf.
name on the.
Yeah. So how many different? See, I'm very curious about that. That is such a successful project. I mean, I am constantly amazed, and I mean 4 or 5
come
times.
from all over for that.
Yeah, and the work that organization puts into it, and the relationship they've developed with the Conservation Commission. So, I mean,
Wonderful, right?
Yeah, and now we have all these people playing disc golf there, which makes me happy as a Conservation Commissioner because now they are all stewards of the park.
Absolutely.
And they walk the walk like they talk the talk. They're really a good group.
They keep an eye on everything.
You've been learning how many discs do you have to buy?
I believe it's
you
three,
get a set.
right? Yeah, it's a set
of three with different sizes.
And they're for distance, right?
So some are heavier, some are lighter.
And they're color-coded.
Putter, you know, when the short distance is a putter, and you get the long distance, the medium range. We've played a couple times, and then but we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, because it's funny. I just talked to one of my fellow conservation commissioners, and I said, for the next inspection we have to do up there, why don't we get together with them and they can teach us how to play? We'll go play around of it. I mean, what better way to see the fruits of your labor? I understand that you guys have an upcoming project in the spring on the Dudley Porter Trail, one of my favorite architectural features in Haverhill, which used to be the watering stop for people riding horseback. Is that correct?
I heard that earlier. Well, I don't know. That's the first I heard of it. But
Oh, it's the first you heard of it?
that it was a watering. I've seen the fountain.
But you know about the project, though, right?
Yeah, we know about the project.
Yeah, whether.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about that? That's it. Where all the rhododendrons are.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
That's basically a project that has been separated into two different phases. Current state of the fountain is not so good. There's a lot of moss and mildew and overgrowth all around the fountain. So what we're going to do first, hopefully the first weekend of April, is to go in there and do landscaping around it, and then take the brushes, and we have some non-toxic organic granite cleanser that we're going to clean the whole fountain itself.
Wow.
And landscape around it to clear it all out. And then hopefully phase 2, which would be further down the line, will hopefully figure out a way to see if we can get that fountain in working order again.
Now, do you know the mechanism by which water got to that fountain before?
I have done some preliminary research and come up with two conflicting stories, so I'm not exactly sure which.
Well, it seems to me that they probably didn't have an electric pump there, which means we're probably talking about an artesian well in which it's under constant pressure, or it had to be gravity fed from a stream, right?
Well, that was one source I found said that there was an underground water source above it on the hill, and they just diverted a line down, so that would be gravity.
Yeah.
And so that was
wow.
And then there was one other report saying that there was a tower up there at one point, which I don't see any supporting evidence of, but I do have one mention of that. So.
That's a fascinating. Some of the things built in there. It was the Birchbrow Estate. There was this architecture that we're talking about. The fountain. And then the fountain out front.
Fountain, yeah.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember seeing puppet shows out at that fountain in the front.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some community group used to put on puppet shows. I mean, I'm a pretty old guy. This was a long time. This is a long time ago, but I'd love to see some effort someday. Maybe that will come up at the the brainstorming possible. My God, I got to look at my notes for everything. Possible dreams.
Possible dreams.
I didn't want to call it plausible schemes or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to accidentally say something like that. Reminder to our listeners. 97.9 FM WHAV. Lines are open at 978-374-1900.
Open mic!
We'll be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7:27.
Public radio for Greater Haverhill. This is 97.9 WHAV.
Like to laugh? Then you'll like listening to Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks on CBS Radio, with Cupid taking pot shots at her from one side and Mr. Conklin, the school principal, badgering her on the other. Our lovelorn school marm has a tough time tracking down her favorite male, Mr. Boynton. Every episode of Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, offers immediate insurance against the blues.
Old Time Radio is heard 7 nights a week over 97.9 WHAV FM. Hear Our Miss Brooks Thursday nights at 10 with an encore performance at 1 a.m.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Still very windy tonight with that high wind warning coming to an end at 7. We will see gradually clearing skies with temperatures dropping to 15. That'll put wind chills below zero as a west wind around 18 to 25 miles per hour will still be likely. For the day tomorrow, sunny skies, highs near 23. Wind chill values to zero, especially in the morning with a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind, gusts occasionally to 35 miles per hour. Mostly clear Tuesday night, a low around 5. And a few snow showers later on Wednesday, high 24. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening and welcome back to the Open Mic. I'm Ralph Basiliere with my special co-host, Melinda Barrett. I'm filling in for Bill Masick, who's on special assignment. And we are here tonight with Kevin Burke, the president, Lisa Marzelli, the vice president, and Jeff Grassi, a volunteer at Team Haverhill. And we're discussing their upcoming event, Possible Dreams, and some of the things they have going on. Lines are open at 978-374-1900. Lisa, when we were on break, you were talking about a couple of things you wanted the listeners to know. So why don't we go right to you with that?
Okay, sure. So if you're action-oriented and you want to get involved in Haverhill and connect with other citizens and get to know people, we have a couple hands-on projects, small projects coming up. So we talked about the cleaning of the Dudley Porter Fountain. So we're starting that on April 5th at Winnie-Kinney Park. And then the next project, small project we're going to do is as part of citywide cleanup on April 20th. We're going to be cleaning the Portland Street Playground, which we helped build the Portland Street Playground. So every year during the citywide cleanup, a group of us, 10 or 20 folks, get together and do that cleanup. And I think we've done that 4 or 5 years in a row.
I can't help but to notice that so far you guys have had mentioned no less than 6 things that I think are great in Haverhill.
Oh,
that the genesis of your group. The Portland Street Playground, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
The last 3 or 4 years that was done, wasn't
Right,
it?
yeah.
Redone, yeah. And it looks great,
Yeah.
and it gets a lot of use.
Yeah, we partnered with the city, so we raised half the funds and the city raised half the funds, and we had a playground group come in.
A lot of times that's a very good way to go about things, a public-private partnership.
Sure,
It
we have
really
lots
is.
of partners.
Yeah.
Usually every project has partners,
Right,
for sure.
right. And Kevin, what would you like us to know?
I just remind people to register for Possible Dreams. It's coming up soon. The registration is on the website, and it is, again, it's free. Walk-ins are welcome, but we do encourage everybody to register just so that we can plan accordingly from refreshments to name tags and everything else that goes with sort of coordinating the evening.
And Jeff Grassi, the resident artist, and the husband of the vice president of Team Haverhill.
Yeah, if you want to find out more information about Team Haverhill, go to teamhaverhill.org. It lists all the projects we've done over all these years, and it's a good way to really see what we do. And we have meetings the second Monday of every month, very relaxed meetings. It's open to the public. It's great to see exactly what we do and to give your ideas, maybe what you're thinking in the city too.
Yeah, we sometimes have other folks in the community come into our meetings and tell us what they're doing, and we try to figure out where there's synergy and where we can partner with them.
Yeah.
So we keep informed about the city.
Well, I have that leads me to. I mean, the light bulb went off in my head. I'm the chairman of the Vietnam Veterans Commission, and we have a big project ahead of us. And of course, as I spoke of earlier, we're going to need the entire community. So I think at some point we should have a conversation, see where we can work together.
Yeah. And actually, that's the greatest thing about Possible Dreams. You could say that as a thing. You were talking to 150 pretty involved,
that want to
connected
be involved,
people.
even if they're not yet.
You could bring that up as a topic.
Yeah.
Now, Tim Jordan is a member of, right? Tim Jordan,
he's
the
a
city
former
council?
president.
Former
Of
president?
Team Haverhill, and he's
He's a member of Team
founding
Haverhill.
members of Team Haverhill.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the founding members.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a team member.
No.
Team Haverhill member to go to this.
No.
Right.
It's open.
It's open to the public?
and you don't have to join Team Haverhill
No.
to participate.
Nope, we just
It's
facilitate it.
facilitating conversations about what people want to see in the
And
city.
you've been to one of these,
I've been to
Melinda.
multiple.
And it's
probably
fun,
been to
right?
5 or
It's
6.
fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
It's a good. It's very interesting.
Time well spent, it sounds like.
Yeah.
The reason why there's so many great ideas that come from Team Haverhill at the Possible Dreams is because it's a community-wide event. We have state representatives that show up sometimes. We have state reps. We have city councilors. We have the mayor. We have so many people showing up with all these ideas, and that's why you get all these great ideas. You have so many people in the city joining together for this one night a year.
Right.
Now, what's the process like when you've had 150 people in the room, you have all this energy, all these ideas?
Yeah.
Now the night ends. What do you collect the notes? Do you? How does that?
Yeah.
How does that process work?
We've gotten better with this.
Yeah,
actually, over the years.
there's always part of the process involved with the evening to take some of the ideas and action steps that are developed in these small groups to recite them back and share them with the whole room and highlight and see what kind of energy is behind each thing. But then beyond that, once the evening's over, we usually do make a report back both through our monthly newsletter and on our Facebook page. If you go to the Possible Dreams page on our website, teamhaverhill.org, you'll see we have things there all the way back to the original Possible Dream. There's been, again, 11 of them now.
Wow.
So there's different files that have notes and summaries of everything that's come up with the past ones. And if you do spend time looking through those, not that many people do, but if you do go through some of those past ones, you will see these ideas that we talked about that were just little seedlings of ideas the first night that they came up at those Possible Dreams in the past. So,
And sometimes it takes a few years for
to
that to be
get
ready.
some
to,
momentum
right.
or-
Sometimes
Right.
there needs to be money or different partners involved, so it's not something that's going to be overnight or in a couple months. Some things are ready to start, but some things, like the
They're
rail
wish
trail,
list,
took
yeah.
10 years to get the
Yeah.
rail trails done. So some things, those ideas just start the process.
There's some incredible graffiti art, not under the bridge, but beyond that, on the rail trail. I know that I had read something where recently the mayor went to, I don't know if it was Somerville or Cambridge, and there was a graffiti art park, and where they had the concrete structures that used to be the lumber yard. You would remember that, Melinda,
I
right?
do remember
near the bridge. There was some artwork in there that someone did with spray paint, that like iconography that's just incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know why I mentioned that. Another thing that comes to my mind recently is that the Conservation Commission, we were asked to look at, for Greenbelt, a conservation restriction up at the Anton property. And I believe you're familiar with that, so what do you think about that?
Well, it's one of my neighbors.
Our neighbor.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, really.
All right, I knew there was some connection that I wasn't making in my mind because in the interest of fairness to everybody, I was the co-host once, and then Bill went on special assignment and I'm the host. So I'm going to make some mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I knew there was that connection. Why don't you take a minute and tell me what your thoughts are about that?
Sure. So, speaking personally, we live in the rural part of Haverhill. We moved there
17 years.
17 years ago.
Wow.
And there's been a lot of development around us. Methuen has significantly developed around us. And you can definitely start to see the open space decreasing. That, in addition to the fact that we run the farmers market, we want to keep our farms in Haverhill.
Right.
We feel like they're, a vital part of our community.
And that is actively farmed at present
Right.
for
Absolutely.
both hay and
Rhubarb.
for the
vineyard,
wine
yeah.
for the vineyard right down the
Yeah,
street,
and
right?
hoping that the vineyard will actually expand into that space.
Right.
So the vineyard in that neighborhood, which we're talking, is like around Westall Avenue, right on the edge of Methuen. It's beautiful there. We love it. It's got windy roads. We love the vineyard. We have a whole big community group there too. All our neighbors get together and have potlucks seasonally. So everyone's pretty connected in that neighborhood. It's a great place to live, and we're very excited to have conserve that space and keep growing
Wonderful.
on it. hopefully more vines.
Well, I mean, it's music to my ears. I mean, I'm a conservation commissioner, so I'm supposed to be doing two things: conserving and commissioning.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
And actually, our last Team
simple,
Haverhill meeting, we had the Essex Greenbelt.
Wonderful group.
Give us
Vanessa
what
Johnson.
Yeah,
wonderful group. Yeah, I'm really. Of course, it's no secret that I support that. I made the motion to certify it, and I signed it with the other commissioners. So I'm hoping that the mayor and the city council will agree with me and the neighbors and go ahead and take care of that. With that, we do have a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, this is Dr. Ralph Basiliere again. Hi, Bill, and hi, Ralph. Wanted to know what's the name of it? I didn't get the name of the group the young ladies sponsoring.
Dr. Boucher, they are here with Team Haverhill.
Team Haverhill, yes. Do they accept donations?
We accept donations.
As a matter of fact, they do. Why don't you tell us about
You can
that?
find that on the website as well.
All right.
The website is
You know what I do? I don't have anything to
teamhaverhill.org.
braille anything out right now. Could I just leave my phone number?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll do that off air though. So because I know, Jerry, that if you give us your number on air, the phone is not going to stop ringing with young ladies who want to go out with you. So when we're off the air, I'll get your number to them.
No, I'll tell them now. 978-521-3982.
All right.
521-3982, and I'm going to listen to the.
Now we can call.
I'm going to send a donation after I hang up.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling,
Okay,
Jerry.
thank you very much. Have a good one. Thank
All
you,
right.
ladies.
Bye-bye. That is, it's like Legends Night in Haverhill. That is Dr. Gerald Boucher, who is on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Commission.
Yeah, with us, yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote down his number for you.
Oh, thank you.
I have this handy-dandy notebook provided to me by WHAV. We were talking about the conservation restriction that has I think at this point made it to the mayor's desk. We're all hopeful about that. I've never been in that wine store there.
Oh, the vineyard?
The vineyard, yeah.
Oh, you got to go.
Is it open regular hours now?
Yeah, it has certain days.
It's different events like Sunday, sundown things.
Yeah, and they're open on
We've had
Wednesdays,
weddings.
Thursdays, and Fridays to the public.
Wednesdays, Thursdays, and
then
Fridays.
Sundays, and then Saturdays. usually
They have
for
limited
weddings.
hours, but they are regular.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can go for wine tasting and try all their different wines.
Wow, if
It's
that isn't a
beautiful
draw,
inside.
yeah.
It's in the grounds are beautiful. Too.
Yeah, the grounds are beautiful. Now, my family has some skin in this race. Skin in this. My great grandmother lived right on Bradley Brook. Her property. She's been gone for many years, but my uncle now lives there, and the property is right on Bradley Brook. So we're very. My family's very interested in my uncles, my grandfather, and my father hunted that land. Many years ago. Yeah, it's a great space of land. When you look at opportunities for conservation restrictions, there really has to be some public interest, some public good in it, and that one certainly hits all the markers. So what else do we have going on, Team Haverhill, that we'd like our listeners to know about? We have the fountain going on. We have the Possible Dreams, which is the big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Possible Dreams. Let me get back to that for a second because you get all these ideas. It goes into your report. How do you kind of whack up and prioritize the ideas? So if you have 36 ideas and you come out of this yearly meeting with 36 ideas, how do you find the ones that are what's the process to find the ones that are obtainable that you could do?
Well, we got to remember that these ideas, it has shifted a little bit through the years. Team Haverhill used to kind of zone in on one of the ideas that really struck us and would kind of run with that. But as time has progressed, Team Haverhill has found through partnerships and other collaborations, like we were saying, and some of our own internal meetings, we've basically filled out our own calendar pretty good.
Gotcha.
So a lot of the ideas nowadays, what we're really doing is kind of partnering people up, finding people that are passionate about something, and getting them together with like-minded people. We do have an initiative called Small Projects, Big Impact, where we make small donations up to $300 and maybe a day of Team Haverhill volunteer time helping other groups or people or organizations around the city with their own projects. So when we come out of Possible Dreams, if there's 30 ideas, we do make ourselves available to help people out, whether it's with planning or facilitating what the next steps might be, or if it is more of a manpower project, getting a group of Team Haverhill volunteers to help them out for one of those one-day volunteer donation kind of things. But really, it's a matter of what ideas and what people are going to sort of percolate to the top on their own by being passionate and having that energy to really work on some of the projects that come up.
So I just identified in your comments there some, sometimes there's a particular need when you're trying to get something off the ground for someone with that administrative and logistical know-how. And it seems that you facilitate that with your small projects, big ideas. Could you give us an example? That's fascinating to me because a conversation happened earlier this year where a conversation was happening where the Vietnam veterans wanted their memorial moved. And then a conversation happened, Ralph, you should be the chair. And I'm like, oh no, it should be so-and-so. And so-and-so didn't want it. I wouldn't want to embarrass that person. But I thought that person was deserving. And for a number of different reasons, some folks thought it was me, and they sat me down. And they have given me the support I needed. But without that council of colonels, is what I call them, that Greek chorus of people who are more experienced than me in these type of things, I think I'd be lost. So I see how very important that is. Is there a specific example you can think of recently where, in the last few years, where you've brought that counsel to people, that administrative and logistic know-how, a project? Anything that you might?
So I guess one of the small projects that wasn't super small, but it was the big cleanup at Hilldale Cemetery.
Oh, good example.
Where so Tammy, who organizes
does a great job.
Who's fabulous.
Great job.
You're there a lot too.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
When they were getting started, they needed like some support. Like, how do you do a big cleanup day? Have a barbecue. So over the whole winter, we met and we gave her some funding for the barbecue, and we had over 100 and
people
something people that day.
So early on as a conservation commissioner, talk about a learning curve. I looked at the underutilized, and it's this way for many reasons. It's been rather bastardized over the years, but the Little River Greenbelt. And you look at the Stevens projects that might go, and what's happening at Swayze's Field, and you look at the wetlands in the area, the hunting, the fishing, and you look at the cemetery, and I thought to myself, I had this grand idea. How could we take these projects and kind of string them together into a little emerald necklace, so to speak? Well, it's a daunting challenge. So I walked the grounds over there, spent a couple hours over there.
At Hilldale Cemetery?
Yeah, I was very familiar with it because my late dog, Danny, and I used to hang out there a lot.
It's nice.
And yeah, just a great spot. I love Veterans Hill. The Civil War Hill. I'm absolutely fascinated by that. But so I went there and we looked at it. And, Greenbelt is not in a position, of course, they don't run cemeteries.
Right.
And they're also not, going to come in with a big white horse and a trailer full of money behind it. But something that struck me that Vanessa said that day, and it's really germane to this conversation, is Ralph, she said to me, it seems terribly daunting to you right now and it seems impossible. She goes, but this is the conversation that starts every successful project.
Yeah.
Now idea. I might not ever be able to do anything there, but it is one idea, and these are the type of things that the people need support for. So you must be a nonprofit organization, I imagine, right?
Yep.
And someone told me you're an apolitical organization as well.
Right.
You don't have any political agenda
Right.
other than
Right.
improving the city you live in,
Right.
which is admirable.
But your idea would be something like that would be, you bring that idea to Possible
Yeah.
Dreams. You're sitting at a table, could be someone who wants to improve trail systems between the two. You start talking. It's the beginning of that concept.
Because it seemed very daunting when I looked at it, and even when I took a second look with two professionals. I'm sure you guys must know Rob Moore from the concert.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
course.
what a great public servant he is. But it seemed very daunting when I was sitting at home with the idea. Well, where do you start? I had the good fortune that I had two professionals that I could walk that with, and at least get some. We can do this, we can't do this, you're on the right track here, type of thing. And that seems to be some of the services you provide. Are there any groups that our listeners would be familiar with that you've worked with in recent
Creative
years?
Haverhill.
Oh, we work with
Yeah.
other groups.
Creative Haverhill's a good one.
Creative Haverhill, Mount Washington Alliance. Who else?
Bright Sides.
Hope for Hilldale.
Wow.
Bright Sides.
Bright Sides for the cleanups. You know,
Goes on and on.
All along we've been
Yeah.
working with different groups. When we did the shoes, the big shoes, different people sponsored different shoes, so we were sort of working with all of those. A lot of our sponsors are local businesses and banks.
Yeah, you did the art on the rail trail.
Art on the Rail Trail. We did a big auction for that and raised
And
$25,000.
the producer is telling me that we have to take a break, have a word from our sponsors. I'm Ralph Basiliere. This is the WHAV 97.9 FM Open Mic Show. We'll be right back with Team Haverhill.
Open mic.
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
97.9 FM, WHAV.
Paul Ryan, Haverhill High School class of 1971, and Tommy Morgan, Haverhill High School class of 2013, are good sports. They're on 97.9 WHAV FM every Wednesday night from 6 till 8. Ryan and Morgan talk about local high school sports, the Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and more. You can join in with your calls. Good Sports is sponsored in part by Haverhill attorney Gerard Laflamme. Good Sports, every Wednesday night at 6 on the Wave 97.9 WHAV FM.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Good evening. Welcome back to WHAV 97.9 Open Mic Show. I'm Ralph Basiliere filling in for Bill Masick, who's on assignment. I am with Melinda Melinda Barrett. You can tell I've been here a couple hours. I'm with Melinda Barrett, my guest co-host, who's really helping save the day. She's like my navigator. And members of Team Haverhill. But right now what we have to do is a monthly drawing for a free cake from LBD's Bakery in Bradford Square. A free cake. We're going to draw it out of our 10-gallon hat that I'm told was once worn by Johnny Cash. So
Is that true?
That's absolutely not true. I just made that up.
News, yeah.
It makes me sound cooler and thinner. And here we go.
All right, so I'm just. Do you want me to say it?
Go ahead.
Daniel Gallant.
Daniel Gallant, you are the winner of a birthday cake for the month of March at LBD's Bakery in Bradford Square, just pulled out of the hat that was once worn by Roy Rogers. I think you're actually allowed to lie on radio. At least it's not if it's not more than
About
4 times.
hats.
So we were talking earlier about one of my favorite subjects, a farmer's market. I'll just give you a little bit of background. I know you can't tell because I look like Brad Pitt, But I have some farming in my family. In Merrimack, Mass, my great aunt had a dairy farm. She immigrated from Ireland, and she's been gone now some 35 years or so. But as a little boy, I grew up on that farm. Then in high school, I showed up at the Davidowitz's farm once, and I never left for 5 years. I'm lifelong friends with them. So the farmers market and the whole concept of farm to table is near and dear to my heart. So please tell us some more about the Haverhill's Farmer Market.
Sure. We started organizing already for this upcoming season. This will be the 41st season of the Farmers Market.
Wow.
So Wally's Farm and Faye's Farm have been, with that Farmers Market since 1978. So our 41st year, we've started organizing. We're booking things. Getting applications in already. So that starts the last June
22nd.
June 22nd, and it goes all the way to Halloween at the end of October. And I'd say our new location on Merrimack Street, when you talk about revitalizing, assets that we already have in the city, now we're at Goki Park. One of the projects we did last year was Jeff painted that Haverhill Farmers Market mural on the Goki parking deck.
Jenny Art was from Creative Haverhill.
Partnering with Creative Haverhill. And that's been really good. So this year, some of our smaller projects for that is to have a bike rack there, to do some landscaping and those with bright sides and those planters to the far left. Maybe painting those electrical boxes.
Yeah. Now, have you seen over the last, let's say, half a dozen years an increase of shoppers down at the farmers market?
Yeah, I'd say we see an increase almost every year.
Dealers and shoppers.
Especially this past year when
it was
they
a huge
moved
increase.
the location.
So we have a lot more space.
So this location's working out a lot better for you.
Oh, wonderful. Much more visible, so people know it's there.
Oh, that's great.
Even if they forget, it's Saturday morning, 9 to 1. They're driving by and they stop in, and there's plenty of parking.
And all of Haverhill's farmers have a stand there, correct?
Not all of them.
But quite
a few. We have four farmers.
Yeah.
They're not all from Haverhill. One's from
Long Hills from West
Long
Newbury.
Hills from West Newbury.
Yeah.
A couple from Haverhill.
From the region, yeah.
Oh, yeah, all from the...
Oh, yeah, all local.
But we increased about 25% customers just last year because we have a lot more space, a lot more vendors.
Wow.
So we have about 600 to 700 customers in 4 hours on 9 to 1.
Yeah, and actually we just did some research, and we're pretty much equal in size, about 30 vendors, to some of the bigger ones that you may know.
We're one of the largest in the state.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I know. We were.
And you saw a 25% increase this year at your new spot.
Yes, and we plan on seeing more. We've kept increasing over the 10 years we've been doing it, and every year has been getting
So let me be the first to tell you, a 25% increase in 1 year in customers, that's success.
It's really huge.
And that was partnering with a lot of different people. The Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Haverhill Foundation,
the City of Haverhill,
Haverhill, Creative Haverhill. So that was about 6 partners coming together to help us fund all red tents, electricity at the site, marketing.
It was a huge collaboration.
So that was a huge collaboration.
It was a big help.
So when you ask me, who do we partner with, I'm thinking, we partner with everybody.
Wow, yeah.
And that makes it easier.
And it does, and it was a great team. Excellent team.
Great team.
Yeah, you guys are kind of like the connective tissue that makes a lot of things work.
We hope so.
Yeah.
I definitely see Haverhill connecting a lot more every year.
I got to tell you, right? I've got to tell you, right? It does, and you'll. I think the 5 people in this room, it's pretty clear a community oriented, community-minded people. But and I've heard of Team Haverhill. I've heard of.
You're coming to my next meeting.
Absolutely. I've heard of them, but I never really understood just how much success you guys have. But my God, a 25% increase in volume of customers in 1 year. It's just stunning to me. I mean, McDonald's would love that secret, Yeah, exactly. Blah.
Yeah.
I could have used a better example. But, and any retailer would love those kind of numbers. Mr. President, how about a final plug for your possible dreams? Just kind of give us a minute of
Possible Dreams coming up Monday, March 11th from 7 and 9 p.m. at the Northern Essex Community College Technology Center. Doors open at 6:30. It's free.
Everyone is welcome to attend, and we do just request that you register in advance on our webpage. If you go to teamhaverhill.org, you'll see Possible Dreams registration now open toward the bottom of the page. If you click that, it'll bring you right through to the registration page, and we hope to see everybody there the night of the 11th.
Beautiful. We have about 2.5 minutes left. It is 7:58, coming up on 7:58 here at 97.9 WHAV. Lines are open if anyone wants to get a last-minute call in at 978-374-1900. I'm Ralph Basiliere in for Bill Masick, and we are with members of Team Haverhill and our city council, my co-host, Melinda Barrett, and we've got about a minute and a half to go. What else can we talk about at Team Haverhill? Let's talk about disc golf again, because I just love that.
Yeah.
Do you know the name of the gentleman who because it escapes me? Who runs that?
Fonseca.
Andrew, yes, Andrew.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they recently did a some type of cleanup up there. Because I know this because I'm not on Facebook, and they posted something about getting volunteers, and they had a wood chipper, and we're going to do, take care of the wet areas. And instantly, some busybody I know sends me a screenshot. You better look into this. So of course, I had to look into it, and it's them doing absolutely what they should be doing, maintaining that, and there was nothing nefarious going on. But I really am interested in the disc golf. I think it's one of the, I really think I started on the Open Space and Recreation Committee, and of course now as Conservation Commissioner. I think it's one of the best examples of how we can be creative in using open space and recreation areas and recruiting stewards. Because all those people who are playing disc golf, they were all taking responsibility for the property. They're all partners now.
And I will say, actually, one of our small projects last summer is we partnered with the disc golf group and did a cleanup there for
right. So they were an
too.
example of one of the ideas that came up at Possible Dreams. But Team Haverhill really had nothing to do with getting them to where they are today. They came up with Possible Dreams. They found some other like-minded people. They worked on it on their own. So they were off and rolling for a couple years, and then just last year we sort of reconnected with them for one of those small projects that we were telling you about. Our initiative called Small Projects, Big Impact. So we connected with them just for a single day cleanup, and we were all back in the disc golf trails, pulling out brush and making piles for them to probably come through with the wood chipper after we were
so
done.
That's another example of a small project. It was like one morning, we ate lunch with them.
Nice.
We learned a little bit about.
To buy our
It inspired us to do disc golf. It inspired us to do disc golf.
I used to have a geography teacher at Hunkin that Mr. Labella, who would say, all good things come to an end, and so must geography, and that is the case with the open mic show tonight. Thank you, the members of Team Haverhill, my co-host Melinda Barrett from the Haverhill City Council. It's been a great show. Best of luck with your possible dreams. I'm Ralph Basiliere, and I'm signing off for tonight. This is WHAV 97.9 FM. Thank you for listening.
Join Bill Masick live on the Open Mic Show again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.